We are the Walkers!
Observing the Motts family. Skeleton right here, which was found with this Hebrew necklace. And I realized that the skeleton, as I observed it, seemed to have a fracture on the skull and the nose, indicating a head injury that occurred in their lifetime due to maybe a fall or something like that. But since there's no indications of any other wear on the body, I assume that they probably didn't play any sports or weren't super physically active in their lifetime.
I'm here with our second subject, who seems to be buried with an object, and it's perhaps a family tree because it's on a large canvas. It has black stitchings of names. It's old and worn, so we're assuming that it must have been passed down by generations. And also, I've noticed some wear and tear towards the knee area, and I'm assuming this individual participated in some sort of artistic background, perhaps dancing, since the drawing was a canvas. Perhaps she drew it contributed to the canvas, so perhaps it had an active lifestyle.
I have the third subject, which seems to have occipital and upper right arm trauma. It could be from the same trauma or separate traumas, I'm not sure. And then their object is this necklace, which seems to be Buddhist and made of gold, so I assume that they are from East Asian descent.
And their cultural object was a knife, and they have severe trauma and wear on their lower part of their left arm. And so having trauma there, I assume that they like hunting and they do it extensively. Out of the group, they're the only person with lower left arm trauma, so I'm assuming that they are left-handed. And then associate hunting with aggressive dominant culture, so I'm going to assume that this is a white male. I also have the fifth subject, and then their cultural object was a fishing pole, and this was a little bit harder to identify with because anyone can enjoy fishing. From this person, they have severe trauma on both of their upper arm, so they fish extensively, and then maybe all their life even, because for this type of trauma repeatedly, there was no other skeletal trauma anywhere on the body. This one was harder to identify because there were no other identifying markers for me to tell if this was a male, female, or what ethnicity they were. But skeleton was labeled with the name Taisha. I'm going to assume that Taisha is an African American female who enjoys fishing. And then this person may ethnically identify with fishing as part of their identity, so they enjoy fishing.
The sixth individual was found with a gold ring, but we did not have any information on the object, so we can't really make any conclusions about their ancestry, ethnicity, race, background, anything like that. The only thing we have to go off of is the skeletal remains, and the only injury that they really have is some sort of injury to their right leg, so you know, maybe they played soccer. The last individual was found with a camera, and on the camera there was pictures of darker skinned people wearing nicer clothes, so they probably were from a black family that was, you know, maybe wealthier, a little bit richer than the average middle-class American. And then from the skeletal remains, they seem to have had some type of head injury and a possible nose break, which, you know, anybody can have anything like that at any time of their lives, so we can't really conclude anything from just looking at the body.
So as archaeologists, I think we definitely like to study the ethnic diversity. I think observing these specific demographics, there was predominantly a certain type of culture, and we see predominantly white in the graveyard, but I think this specific group kind of defeat the odds of that, and that we have a very diverse group here. I mean, you guys can agree or disagree.
I agree with Hope. There was like a diverse of objects which resemble their ethnicity, and like we could go from a canvas to a knife, and then to a fishing pole, and then a necklace and a ring. It was just like all these different objects, it reflects that it comes from different backgrounds, different cultural upbringings.
For this project, when we had the skeletons, we could not really see the color of their skin, and race is something that's basically, made up of people's skin colors, and that's kind of what separates racial categories. So for this, without being able to see, the skin color or maybe where they came from or something, it's really hard to just assume that, they were white or they were black just because they were with these objects.
Ethnicity is more of what you identify with and how you categorize yourself, and race is more of what society says you look like or what you fit into.